Rise and shine. It's your time to win. Welcome to another episode of the Design to Win live show. And this is our featured segment, Caribbean Author Stories. And so today you're going to hear from a new author, Georgia Haffenden, and about her book, The Better Part. So I want you to stay tuned for that. We're going to be it's just going to be about 30 minutes. Going to ask you to, if you're joining us, share this with your friends, share it on your Facebook page. And after the broadcast has ended, we're going to ask you to also, you can rehost your own watch parties. And it is such an honor to have my friend with me. I'm going to be checking on my phone to see if all is well, if we are live, and we might entertain some questions if persons are on. So we're going to get into the interview shortly. And the Design to Win live broadcast is where we give you the roadmap to win with books and some keys to win at life. And we had started an author transformer series, and we are continuing with that. So, Georgia, welcome to Design to Win Live. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay. So, tell us a little bit about who you are and about your writing journey.
Well, as you all know, my name is Georgia Haffenden. I am born Jamaican. All my relatives are still in Jamaica. I immigrated to Canada with my husband and my children. I serve in the capacity of a wife, a minister, a student, a professional social worker, and also an author, newly author, as you would say. So that's basically who I am for the time being.
Okay. So you're a wife, a mother, and you're also a minister. Tell us about your writing journey. What prompted you to start writing, and what was it like writing this particular book?
What prompted me to start writing? It was a clear and direct message 8 years ago that I got from the Lord. That just 3 words, the better part. And I was given an instruction to write this down, which I did. And about a week or 2 after wrestling with this thing, why am I supposed to write down these 3 words? The Lord said, I want you to write a book, and this is the title. Wow. Well, this book took me 8 years to write.
Wow.
I shared the vision with my husband. He said to me, well, if God says write, then go write. So I was like, I don't know how to write. What am I supposed to write? So he said, just go on your computer or start typing or just write. So I just started to type, just type. And then I just gave up. I just put it down. Wow. I didn't even bother. So it was while here in Canada, like a year or 2 ago, my husband again came and said, what happened with that book that the Lord told you to write? I'm like, yeah, what? He said, well, I think you need to get up and start walking in obedience. I'm like, but I can't write, I can't this, I can't that. So he said to me, you started many years ago, so what happened? I said, you know what? I had saved it on many different avenues, many different emails, so I will go and retrieve it. And that is how I started to, pick up back just writing again. One of the things I did, Kamika, I challenged myself. I said, you know what, God, since as you have commanded me to do this thing, I want to walk in obedience. So that was how I contacted you. I said, you know what, it's best if I get in contact with a publisher who will now hold me accountable.
Yes.
So it must be completed. So that's how I made contact with you, and I just continued, and you gave me the deadline. So I said, okay, now I have to do this thing. So I just did.
Excellent. And you've touched some major points there. because there are many persons who want to write and it often takes them a long time. But I find when you have a measure of accountability that you're able to push through and finish. And so
Yes.
that's a key. If you're thinking of writing a book and you're struggling, you need some measure of accountability, someone who would check on you. When I was writing, my mom was one such person who kept checking on me because sometimes the energy to start is not the same energy to finish. So I want to
Yes,
congratulate you because writing is hard. And I
it
want to pick
is.
up your husband, Hopeton, for
Mhm.
encouraging you and not allowing that dream to die. So tell us more about the title. The book has a very interesting title, and I'll be bringing the book up on screen shortly. Tell us more about that, the better part.
So, as I said, those were the three words the Lord gave me in that vision, but I just could not understand, those three words. It wasn't until He directed me to the book of Luke. It was the story about Mary and Martha and how Mary had chosen the better part. And I'm
Mm.
like, wow, God, this is awesome. So, what the Lord was saying to me is that, Georgia, you have chosen the better part. The day
Ah,
when you committed your life to me, you chose to walk a different path. And that was
yes,
my path. So the title is really about God and His path. The journey that we take as
yes,
Christians to live a life that is pleasing unto the Lord.
yes. Ah, so that's the better part. So the better part is about living a life that is pleasing to God.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So we get to understand why this book was written. It was because the Lord told you to write this book.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I love the title. The subtitle is about overcoming my past, answering God's call, and living a fully surrendered life. So tell us a little bit more about the book itself. Overcoming my past, answering God's call suggests that you had some obstacles and trials and stuff that in your past that were possibly holding you back, and you came to a
Yes.
point where you were able to overcome it. So tell us a little bit about that.
We all have a past. Some of our past are bitter experiences. Some have some moments of joy. But
Yes.
my past was really a major challenge for me. One of the things is that I had what you would call a dysfunctional family. I have two sets of family. So I have
Right.
stepmom, stepdad, I have stepfather and mother. So I was between both houses. And
Okay.
a lot of things can happen during those times. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was moving from here to there between both parents, and it opened the doors for things like, sexual abuse and molestation,
Mm.
internal conflicts,
Yes.
siblings feeling as if you were rejected, by
Mm.
your own parents. I was just caught in the middle. And a lot of that, paved the way for me to make a lot of wrong choices, if you know what I mean,
Wow.
as I
Yes.
grew up. I became bitter.
Yes.
Honestly, I became bitter. I was filled with resentment. I was an
Mm.
angry young lady.
Yes.
Let's put it like that.
Yes.
I was so angry, and
Mm.
love was something that I just could not accept, much less
Ah.
to even give it. Because as I said, the nurture nature part,
Yes.
as a child, I was denied that. Now I
Mm.
don't blame my parents, because guess what? They did their best,
Right.
even if they couldn't understand it, but they did their best.
Right.
Right. So the book is about my journey, from a child coming up into my adult
Adult
years.
life. Yes.
Yes, and even as a minister, how I struggled, how I struggled to get to that place of absolute surrender. Some of the
Yes.
challenges I had as a minister, because the reality is, even as leaders, we tend to hide some of the struggles that we have been through. And
That is
this is what, yes, and this is really what people want to know. They want to relate to us. They want us to be
yes,
vulnerable. They want to know that, okay, I can share the real me with you and
yes.
I am not judged.
Ah, I mean that's very bold. I read the book and I'm like, whoa. Uh, it has a great degree of transparency because some of the things that you went through as a minister, and we're not going to give away too much of the book, but on your
Right.
journey serving the Lord, you fall down and you get up, and there are some incredible things in there that still today, having read the book, I grapple with it. Does God really work like this? And very often we put God in a box. But one of the
Yes.
things that it's a very gripping story, but at the end we find about forgiveness and you being able to forgive the persons who hurt you. It was rather interesting, and it transformed me. There's something else too. You're going to be having your book launch this Friday, and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
at 5 p.m. Canada time. Let me see if I can
Yes.
put that up. And that's about what, 7 p.m. Jamaica time, based on where you are in Canada.
You are
And
what 1 hour. You are one
it's
hour
1 hour, so it's going to be
ahead.
6 p.m.
Yes.
Jamaica time. So we want to
Mm-hmm.
invite persons to come on out to the book launch. It's going to be virtual. We want you to come on out. But is it just a book launch? Tell us a little bit more about that and what's happening there.
It's not only a book launch, it's going to be also a ministry launch. It's going to be my own personal ministry, which has, come forth from the book as well, the better part. It will be the Better Part Ministries International. It will be surrounded by, mentorship and discipleship is what the ministry is going to be built on.
Okay.
Because one of the things I realize is that even as a leader, you too need a mentor. You too need
Right.
to be discipled. As I said, there's a lot of people out there who are struggling. And it's not just saying, the repentance prayer and becoming a part of a church.
Yes.
Because the truth is, many people are wounded within the church. And who do they go to? We find that we cannot, trust people within the church, which is not something that is good. So it's going to be a ministry launch as well, where I'm going to offer myself to serve those who, whether men, women, or teenagers who want to be mentored and discipled into experiencing their better part.
Ah, and I know there's a section in the book where you take us on like a better part journey, a 7 day experience, to 7 day journey to experience a better part. And I
Yes.
took that opportunity, and at the end of that 7 days, I was just hearing so clearly from God. And in my own life, things that I struggled with in terms of my self-worth and other things while doing that 7 day journey, I was able to come to terms with it and begin to experience my better part. So, your journey gets better and better. We go from glory to glory, but we
Yes.
can't get to the next level until we deal with some of the things that have been holding us back. So I know
Mm-hmm.
persons who will become part of this ministry. That is an exciting part. I can't wait for you to start doing the better part retreats and
Yes.
help
Coming
persons
soon.
to experience the better part. So
Yes.
there are persons who are struggling with answering God's call, and they are struggling with overcoming issues in their past. What advice would you give to them? What steps do they need to take? What are some of the keys to answering God's call and overcoming your past?
All right. One of the major issue for me was the whole surrender. Not just surrender, but submission.
Mhm.
Um, Many times, because we have been through a lot of struggles, and people have hurt us, we become so sheltered and we become so overprotective, right? That we find it difficult to even submit to
Mm,
those who are above us. Or so I was having a challenge even submitting to God. I know that the Lord had plans for me, but and I know that He had called me. But as I said, I had an issue surrendering, which was basically submission.
yeah.
And it was just it's difficult, because if I was to really submit to God, I'm going to submit to His will, and His will is not always the nice and easy things that we would want. It means that I would have to come face to face with my struggles. It means I would have to call a spade a spade. Just as I said before, that I was bitter, I was angry, I had a lot of resentment. I had to come face to face with the real me. I had to come face to face and say, listen, Georgia, there's no way that, you know, you can even walk the path if you don't deal with your heart's condition. You're bitter,
Mm,
you're angry. You need to let go of all these things that you have been carrying over the years. Mark
yes.
you, it's not going to be easy. But when you submit to the Lord, you have access to be real with God. If you cannot be real with anybody else, you can be real with God. So I began to talk to the Lord and say, okay, God, I am struggling with unforgiveness.
Ah,
I hate Mary. I hate John. They did this to me, but before I can even answer you, answer your call wholeheartedly, you are going to have to heal me of these things. You're going to have to help me to let go of these people who have offended me, these people who have hurt me.
mm-hmm.
So that was my process. I had to learn to really submit to God. I had to submit, myself to His correction,
Yes.
to
Mm,
His rebuke.
yes,
So
that's hard.
that's where it all starts from, submission. And then you find out that the more you begin to submit yourself daily, it's like, as Paul said, present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto the Lord for His reasonable what? Service.
Yes, yes,
And
true.
then the whole process of transforming my mind, right?
Mm.
Knowing that, okay, those things happen, they're in the past, it's not my future. It's God who determines my future. And
Ah,
if I commit myself unto the Lord, then He's surely going to help me to overcome. So the overcoming is not your responsibility, it's God's responsibility. It's through
ah.
Him that you're going to be able to overcome.
Wow, you're dropping some, now I have to pause there. You're dropping some truth bombs on us. Some, as John Lee Dumas would say, some value bombs. So it's not allowing your past to determine your future, and understanding that it is God who will do the overcoming. You're dropping some truth bombs there on us. So forgiveness
Yes.
is a big part of that. It
Hmm.
is being willing to be corrected by God and
Hmm.
submitting to His will. All right.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And another thing is, as Christians and as leaders, we struggle with vulnerability.
Ah,
We are not, there are many times that we don't even know how to be vulnerable with God,
mm,
right? We don't
yes.
know how to become naked and not ashamed.
Aye. Mm,
So we try to cover up a lot. Even when it comes to God, we try to cover up. But when I learned how to become vulnerable, how to become
mm,
naked and not ashamed, naked and not ashamed means when I began to share with others my struggles, some of the
yes.
most deepest and intimate things that
Mm,
I've been through in life, the things were just dropping off. They
ah,
were just dropping off. I realize now that, okay, God doesn't look at my shame. That's the
ah.
thing. God came to take away the
Take away
shame.
the shame.
But
Yes.
exactly, but in my eyes, oh, I am not worthy. Why would God use somebody who is I'm so messed up? But yet
Mm,
still, God came to take away my shame. So the more I
yes.
became vulnerable and opened up to saying, okay, I'm struggling
Yes.
with this. This
Yes.
is where I was. The things just started to slowly fall
All.
off.
Oh,
So
wow.
there is
Wow.
no reason to be afraid of being vulnerable. I
Mm.
learned from Mrs. Hyacinth Peart, and I'm going to call her name. She taught me
Dr.
at JTS,
Pierce.
and you know her well. Yes.
Yes.
I remember her saying in a class that I was in, she said, listen, if you share your deepest and most intimate
Yes.
scar with somebody, if they want to go and speak it and tell the whole world, that's their responsibility. Do not
Wow.
take it on. You are being healed.
Uh-huh.
You are becoming a better person
Mm.
because of sharing those scars. And I've held on to that thought for
Mm.
all these years. So the more I became vulnerable, she actually taught me how to become vulnerable. So
Wow.
submission and vulnerability are two major keys in
Ah,
really and truly living a surrendered life.
wow. Submission and vulnerability are the keys. And when you share your story, don't fret about what others will say. That's kind of hard because I have had stuff, and I remember I got to a point where from Isaiah 54, God says, I'm going to cause you to forget the shame of your youth,
Yes.
because in being vulnerable, you open up yourself for criticism, and that
Mm-hmm.
can deter us. But what you're saying is that if you do not share, and it's not just sharing anywhere, it's finding a safe community. I would
Yes.
assume that it is
Yes.
in the process of sharing that healing comes.
Yes.
Mm.
And and
All right.
and
We
if
want
if
people to
if
read the
yours
book, so don't tell
yes.
us everything. Um, so, your message for those who've been through similar experiences and those who are struggling with answering the call, from what you've said, I could put it in three keys here. One, you have to be submitted to God. Two, you have to um, forgive. You have to be willing to be vulnerable. And
Yes.
doing that, you can find healing. And I think a fourth one there you shared is that you need to look past the shame, because God is not
Yes.
seeing that. He came to take away the
The
shame.
shame.
All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Right.
So tell us, is there anything else that we need to know about the launch on Friday? What if persons are interested in getting copies of the book? Where is the book available?
Currently it's available on Amazon, Amazon.com for those who are in America, Amazon.Canada. Um, I'm working along with you in getting the book available to those in Jamaica. I've been getting a lot of calls on that, text
Mhm.
messages about that. So we
Yes.
are currently working on that in getting it in the hands of my fellow Jamaicans who are anticipating the book. But currently it's on Amazon Kindle, it's in paperback. I have my own personal copy for myself right here that I
Yes.
do go through as well. So it's available on different platforms. Also, I'll having some come in the mail very soon. And these ones that are coming here, I am going to take the time to personally sign them.
Sign them.
And for those who order, you will be getting a signed copy.
Ah, and then we have something interesting coming up. We have a 2-day Kindle deal where you
Yes,
can go to amazon.co .uk, and it will, the Kindle version, that's the e-version, will be on sale for just 99 cents starting tomorrow at
yes,
midnight. So that's August 25 to 27. You can get the Kindle version. Normally it's 7.99, and you can do the conversion to pounds, but you'll be able to get it for 0.99. So that's our special. So once you're online, you can go to the UK store on Amazon and download your copy. And if you would like Georgia to speak at your church or your event, you can email her at gh.betterpart@gmail.com. And I want you to share this deal with your friends. We're going to put up do some more posts on Facebook. We're going to share this interview, just a sneak peek into who Georgia is on YouTube. We're going to ask her to host watch parties. And over the next 2 days, let's push her book to an Amazon bestseller in the categories for which it is currently. It's not too late. And then show up Friday for her book launch. You don't want to miss that. And who is the keynote speaker for your book launch, Georgia? Tell us a little bit more
Dr.
about that.
Felicia Gray,
Bring up the style.
Dr. Felicia Gray, the one
Dr.
who wrote the
Felicia.
foreword for this book. Yes.
All right. And it's going to be right here on this page again via Zoom. And you can join us via Zoom or join us on Facebook to watch it. Zoom can only hold 100 persons. So we want, if you find yourself locked out, then we're going to ask that you join the broadcast right here on my page, and then you can reshare it. So the Zoom meeting ID is right there. That's 213-828-8422. And you can join us for that. Congratulations, Georgia. I love when our Caribbean authors write and share our stories with what God is doing in their lives. And we are saying that you can overcome your past, and no matter what it is,
Yes.
God can use you. Do you have any last words for our viewers as it relates to your experience and the book, and anybody who is struggling with sexual abuse, struggling with a dysfunctional family, struggling with answering God's call, struggling with just their sexuality, because those are some of the deep issues that you
Yes.
touch in the book, struggling
Mhm.
with finding love. After all I've been through, can I still find love and settle down?
Mhm.
Speak to those categories of persons right now.
Well, the reality is there is no greater love than the love of God.
Amen.
That's an assurance. You need to assure yourself with that. But there's
Yes.
also other people out there who need you. You
Yeah.
may not think you're needed, but you are needed. There are people who need you. There are people who need to hear your struggles. There's no need to be silent anymore. There is no need to live a sheltered life or become so overprotective of your own self that you're afraid to give of yourself to others.
Mm.
See yourself as being needed. See yourself as being called to serve. Because guess what? God's love is unconditional. And
Yes.
that is one love that you can never deny yourself of. And once you begin to fill your mind, fill your heart with the reality that I am loved by God, then
Yes.
God will begin to break down your barriers. And you will find that, hey, guess
Yeah.
what? I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Guess what? Those things that I've been through, those things that I've struggled with, they don't define me. It's God who defines who I am. It's God who really and truly causes me to overcome. So don't see yourself as lesser than who you are. See yourself as being fearfully and wonderfully made by a perfect God. And I'm talking to both males and females. Males, please don't exclude yourself because the men have been through a lot of struggles as well.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
find it hard to speak out as women
Yes.
would. But for the sake of becoming husbands, or even the fact that you are husbands, as women, we need to hear your struggles as well. You know, we need to hear that, hey, guess what? I too want to overcome. So I'm encouraging the men as well to read the book and find yourselves a, a safe space.
Mm.
Find yourself a safe space where you can unload, where you can get naked and not ashamed, where you can become vulnerable and let your healing process begin.
And if you want to learn more about how to find that safe space, we want to encourage you and to get the book, and also you can contact Georgia. It's GH. Give me the email again. Dot
gh.betterpart
better part
betterpart at
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com. Are you on
Right.
Instagram? Are you on
I'm on
Facebook?
Instagram. I'm on Facebook.
Ah,
Somebody contacted me via Facebook too. From Jamaica. She was in the taxi
yes,
reading this book. And
yes.
she just sent me a Facebook message and I responded ASAP.
So on Facebook, your handle is Georgia Haffenden. On
Yes.
Instagram, what's your handle on Instagram?
Same Georgia.
Same Georgia
Or Gia
Haffenden
girl. Yes.
or Gia Girl. So it's Gia Girl,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we look forward to the launch on Friday. Congratulations
Yes.
and thanks for sharing on the Design to Win roadmap for our Caribbean. Design to Win Life for our Caribbean Author Stories feature. This is Ruth Taylor reminding everyone that life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by design. Carefully design to win today and find out the better part that God has in store for you. Thanks for joining
Amen.
us. Remember to share, reshare this thing until it gets out of style. And catch
Amen.
you for the launch on Friday. Ta for
All
now.
right. Thank you.
Bye,
Yes.
everybody.
Bye.